I'm like, yeah, I get it. I know, like, you're going through some things, but, like, the way you're acting is kind of annoying.
Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile?
Hi, friends, it's Rory, and today we're going to talk about my 5 least favorite books that I read in 2019. Now, I know that this seems very negative, but originally I was going to do 10 worst books that I read in 2019. And when I was going back and I was looking at the books, I realized that I didn't really not like a lot of books. Most of the ones that I didn't love so much tended to be kind of a 3-star read. So I decided to sit back and I made this 5 of my least favorite books of 2019. So this should be a nice short video, super duper fun to hear me rag on books that I didn't like this year. As always, I have my notebook, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm gonna go from least favorite to most hated book of the year. So at number 5, there's The Bowling King by Laura Anderson. I read this book 2 months ago. It's the story of if Anne Boleyn, before she was beheaded, the baby that she miscarried, if that baby had not been miscarried and had instead been born as a healthy male son, and then went on to become the king. It follows 4 characters. It follows the king character, whose name is Henry the Ninth, but he goes by Will to his friends. Then there is Will's best friend, Dominic, Will's sister, Elizabeth I, and the main character is a girl named Minette, who is the daughter of Anne Boleyn's best friend and favorite lady-in-waiting, and she is now a lady-in-waiting to Elizabeth. And the 4 of them are all friends, and the story kind of has a love story between Minette and the 2 boys in the friend group. Now, this is the lowest rated one, because part of me still wants to continue on with this series for some reason. And also because 2 of the 4 characters I ended up really, really liking. I like Dominic. I think that his struggle that he has in the books is really interesting and cool. And I feel like Elizabeth I, her character, was the best written in this entire series. But I freaking hate the love triangle between Will and Dominic and Minette because it's fucking stupid. There's no point. I already know who she's going to end up with. I know she's going to end up with Dominic. And that means that I'm going to be having to hear about her romance with Will for no reason. And the other thing, I don't really like Will. Also, they did a complete character assassination of my girl Anne Boleyn, and I absolutely hate it. But the parts of this book that I really liked. It's just everything else that I hated. So part of me kind of wants to continue with this, which is why it's number 5. The next one I feel really, really bad about, but it's I Wish You the Best by Mason Deaver, which is how I believe it's pronounced. So many people that I've seen on BookTube absolutely love this book, and I wish I could be one, but I don't really like it. Okay. But yeah, it's the story of a non-binary person named Ben, and when they come out to their parents, they're kicked out, so they go to live with their estranged sister, Hannah, and Hannah's husband, and transfers over into the school where Hannah's husband works. But because of being kicked out and the non-binary thing, they're very anxious, so they don't really want to kind of be out at school. Then they end up falling for one of their new friends, whose name is Nathan. I really, really wanted to read this book. Like, I think everything was set up in for this. It's a story about a non-binary character written by a non-binary author. I thought that it was going to be fantastic. But in the long run, I didn't like it. And I don't know what it was. I can't exactly pinpoint it. I know that I wasn't a big fan of the romance because I wanted it to be like substantial, and then they only got together the chapter before the epilogue. And I like my romances where I can really feel them. Like anything that happens like right before the end, kind of not great for me. And so I wasn't that invested in the romance. Something about Nathan just kind of like ticked me off, and I can't pinpoint what it is, but something about him just ticked me off. Ben had a bad habit of like being like, oh, woe is me. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I know, like, you're going through some things, but like the way you're acting is kind of annoying. Ben was kind of annoying to me. The Hannah's husband, despite being one of the people that Ben lives with, was honestly not there a lot. And then the best friend of Ben was an online best friend, and so I didn't feel very connected because they weren't there that much. And I don't know. There was just like a whole bunch of small things that made this book not enjoyable for me. And I feel really, really bad because so many people like this book, and I feel bad talking about a book with such a small represented like part of the LGBT community. I know plenty of non-binary people. I have non-binary friends and non-binary people that I follow on YouTube, and I just feel like they need to be represented more, and I wish that this could have been good for me, but it wasn't. But it's been good for a whole bunch of other people. So if you're kind of wanting to check it out, I still say check it out. Like, this was probably a me problem, honestly. So you may love it. Up next is Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. And I feel bad about this a little bit for the same reason I feel bad about I Wish You All the Best. This is the story of a girl named Alice who is ace, and it kind of focuses on her growing romance with a character named Takumi. This book happens right after Alice is broken up with by her girlfriend, who, despite her coming out as ace, the girlfriend says that she didn't enjoy being with her because they didn't have sex together. And so Alice is kind of like, on the one hand, concerned about getting into a relationship because the person that she's in the relationship with may not understand. And at the same time, she's trying to figure out one, if she's going to come out to her family, and two, trying to tell her family that she does not want to be a lawyer like the rest of the family expects her to be. Once again, I don't know what about this book made me not like it this much. I think that I didn't really like Alice and Takumi's relationship, and Takumi felt too perfect for me. Like, Alice kept describing him as perfect and kept talking about how beautiful he was and how kind he was, and every single time she described him as was perfect, and I was just like, shut up. Stop. Alice, you're annoying me. Stop it. No one's perfect, and when you describe him as perfect, it gets really annoying. Stop it. Stop. But then, along with that, kind of just like, I don't know, part of the book is that her and her best friend end up getting into a fight because of this new guy, and I never understood why they were fighting, but I don't know, just like all of these tiny things ended up annoying me, and in the end, I ended up not really enjoying it, but But I feel really bad because, once again, this is an ace character and there needs to be far more ace representation. And I feel bad for saying that I dislike something with that representation, but I did. I'm sorry. Now we're going to get into the 2 books that actually make me mad with how bad they are. The second least favorite book that I read this year was A Map of Days by Ransom Riggs, which is the 4th Miss Peregrine book. And I love the Miss Peregrine series, so I was very, very excited about this book coming out. I was like, oh my gosh, we get to see Emma and Jacob together, and they don't have to worry about anything because now they're finally on the same synced up, and it's going to be great. And this book, the first part was really, really boring. And then Jacob and Emma kept having arguments, and it was just so stupid. Like, they'd have an argument, and then they'd be like, I'm sorry, I don't want to argue. And they'd be like, yeah, I don't want to argue. And then they'd go on. And then, like, the next chapter, they'd be having the same argument. Like, get your argument out of the way and stop. I'm tired of reading the same thing every other chapter. And once again, the beginning part was boring. And then in the ending, Jacob just kept doing stupid things. And I understand that Jacob is a character that does stupid things. I get it. I've read the other books. But the other books, when he did stupid things, it was just kind of like, oh, he realized he's doing stupid things. And he would try to go around and make up for the stupid things that he did. But no, in this one, he just kept making stupid decision after stupid decision after stupid decision. And he just never learned that they were stupid decisions. And I was just like, Jacob, what the fuck are you doing? But he never learned. And then the ending happened, and I was like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? You motherfucking idiot. So yeah, I really disliked this book. It was just, and I don't continue to plan on. I know that there's another Miss Peregrine book coming out, but the Miss Peregrine books, in my opinion, ended after the 3rd one, and there are no more books after that because I'm not continuing on. Unless the next one is absolutely fantastic and people who hated this one come out and are just like, it was fantastic, then maybe I'll look into it again. But at this time, I'm just like, nah, man, I've been burned. And then, to surprise no one, because it's my second highest viewed video on my channel, my number 1 least favorite book this year was We Contain Multitudes by Sarah Henstra. I hate this book. I hate this book so much. I hate this book so much that I posted a 25-minute rant review on how much I hated this book. It's not great, but the rant review is actually kind of funny, so I'm going to link it in the description. But it's not great. It's the story of 2 boys who are assigned to be partners in a school project where they have to write letters back and forth to each other, and they fall in love. Except they're some of the most boring characters of all time, and I hate them. And something at the very last third of the book made me absolutely hate them. Something happens, and what happens was not okay, and no one apologized to the person who deserved an apology. And then in the end, the relationship, which shouldn't have continued on because the thing that happened that was not okay broke them up. They were just like, oh, we're gonna get back together and it's gonna be fine. No, it's not. You didn't apologize. There's a part where there's no consent for something. Like, there's actively against consent. Like, someone is being like, hey, don't kiss me right now. And then he kisses him. And I'm like, that's not consent. And in 2019, and moreover, in 2020, we love open and explicit consent. And that is not what I got there. And so, We Contain Multitudes is one of the worst books that I read last year. No, it's not one of the worst books I read last year. It's the worst book that I read last year. And it may be in contention for some of the worst books that I read in the past decade. I hate it. I hate it so much. Now that I'm mad, let's... I hate it. Anyways, so now that I'm mad, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I hope that you had a great time with me today, as always. And there's a link down below to register to vote. Go ahead and register on up so that you can vote. And yeah, in the meantime, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!